Hey there, in this week's episode of Beltway 95 Sports, Beltway questions from the DMV on this week's episode of Beltway 95 Sports. Well, welcome back to Beltway 95 Sports. This is a new segment that we're doing. It's called Beltway Questions. So this is where we answer 3 questions from the DMV, whether it's Virginia, Maryland, or DC. Right here, we have one of our Virginia medallions, has Beltway 95 Sports on it, has a Virginia necklace around it. So what it is, we'll ask some questions about the local sports teams as you see here in the DMV. We'll take a question from Virginia, Maryland, and DC. So we're gonna get to it. Well, our first question is from Daniel from Virginia. So Daniel's question is, how did Chase Young know that the Steelers were gonna play that defense, that type of defense? I'm trying to reword his question, whatever, but I think he's asking that the last play, well, one of the last plays between the Washington football team and the Steelers was that it seemed like when Ben Roethlisberger dropped back and one of the defensive players for the Washington football team actually intercepted that pass there. I'm sorry, I don't know if it was Chase Young or not, kind of doing all these videos and interrupting and kind of piece them all together, but so one of the things you can see, a lot of people have a lot of screenshots of Chase Young actually in the camera saying, I knew that was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. And a lot of the other players also knew that as well, especially when they went off the field, Heinz Field. They said they knew that play was coming. And Chase Young contributed that to the Ravens game, which they played on that Wednesday, the Steelers-Ravens game, because it got postponed 3 times because of COVID-19 situation. So actually RG3 was the starter for that game, and the Ravens held their ground. Other than a few other plays, I think they probably could have won that game, but RG3 actually got hurt in that game. So at Wednesday, because the Washington football team hadn't played since Thanksgiving, that beatdown they did with the Dallas Cowboys, so they had a long layover. So by them being able to have that Wednesday off and watch that game with the Steelers and Ravens, they could kind of dissect the defense and get some keys off of Ben Roethlisberger, which end up working for them. End up working for them, which would be the Monday night game this a few days ago. Now the Ravens end up playing Dallas on Tuesday, which was yesterday. So you can see how those little layoffs play off. But with Chase Young in the defense, like I said, trying to answer the question the best way I can can answer for him. But I think they did a great job, and the defense is growing. But hats off to the defense, Washington football team, using every little piece that they can to get better week by week, and you start to see this team gel week after week after week. And now with Alex Smith, he's being careful with the ball and sustaining long enough drives to give the defense a time to rest, and they're not tired coming after people. And I enjoyed that game with the Steelers. It just showed that, to be honest with you, I gotta be honest, I didn't think they was gonna win, but I'm luckily surprised that they did, and all of us gotta jump on and believe in this team. The Giants win with 5-7, so shout outs to the DMV. Go Washington football team, and the sky's the limit. So we're gonna move on to our second question. Let's see here. This question is from Kim. She's from Maryland. So her question is, how did Lamar develop from the, what was that saying? Okay, so how did Lamar develop from the last game he played versus this game he played with the Dallas Cowboys? Seemed like he had a lot more energy. Kim. So Kim's from Maryland. So In my opinion, that Lamar had time to, because he wasn't able to play the Pittsburgh game due to the COVID protocol, but sitting out since the last time he played was actually at Tennessee, overtime loss to Tennessee Titans. I think that Lamar got time to sit back, watch the game. He said he didn't like watching the team. He said he felt like out of place, but it gave him time to kind of sit back and just take in perspective of what to do and read certain coverages. RG3 did his thing, but by him not having those first team snaps, it was kind of rusty. You can tell that in the Ravens' performance in the first 3 quarters of that game. But Lamar, last night it was like he was like a kid in a candy store. It started off a little bit slow, but like I expected, for the long layover. At this time, Lamar and some of the J.K. Dobbins and a few others, Brandon Williams, they haven't played in 10 days, whatever. So that's a long layover for those guys. But to see them get back into the win column was amazing. Like I said, I would hate to say sky's the limit, but we still got to take baby steps. Monday night game against the Browns is going to be a critical situation for us. It's going to be a Monday night primetime game. Now, like I said, we're shooting this on Wednesday. Now, things could possibly happen. It seems like the Ravens get a different play every week or every other day that's on the COVID protocol list. Now, Mark Andrews is supposed to be eligible for that game. Now, I'm unaware of, but I just got some word that Dez Bryant will not be eligible for that game against the Browns, and it's sad to see that, but I just love to see this team just take baby steps. If we can make past the Browns, I think we can get that 11-5 and then get one of those last remaining playoff spots, and then make some things happen. So Kim, thank you for your question from Maryland. So we're gonna move on to the third question. So our third question is from DC. Dez Bryant question. Okay, so how do you think Dez Bryant was Dez Bryant reaction the right reaction following that the Ravens-Cowboy game? Okay, all right. So I would say that now my understanding of the game that Dez was ready to go into the game. Ready for the game, and during the pre-warm-ups, one of the player personnel came up to him and said, "Look, you got to get tested." And then he went off the field and got tested. Now he got there about an hour or so before the other Ravens players because he's excited, but he was in close contact with other Ravens players while he was on the practice field. And he was in close contact with a lot of Cowboy players because we all know he knows a lot of those players over on the Cowboys team. And of course he hugged them and dapped them up and everything like that. So, they told Dez he needed to be tested. Dez goes back in the back. And if you know anything about the Ravens Stadium or FedEx Field, whatever, you go down a tunnel and then you have a medic or a healthcare provider, staff member test the players. And then they have a quick, rapid testing result right there. So they end up giving Dez his result and say he had tested positive. So at this point, Dez is like, I can imagine he's like, wait a minute, how can I be how can I be positive? And plus he's so excited about this game because I think he knew he was getting a lot of targets in this game, especially being a Cowboys game. And now, I guess when he started to think about it, he's like, well, why all of a sudden I'm practicing all week, I'm ready to go, and then right before kickoff, you decide you want to test me now. And then all of a sudden I come back positive. So you can imagine somebody that's been out of the league for this long and come back and now want to play against his former team. He's a little bit upset. So some of the tweets that he said that night was kind of crazy. I don't think he really, put any emphasis in those, like he wanted to retire, he's not going to play anymore, he's drinking wine. Why me? I'm sorry, me. And some people say that Dez hasn't matured because you can see in his tweets he hasn't matured yet. But it could be any play. In my opinion, if I was him, I would be upset as well. But I guess maturity tends to how you react to certain things like that. He was just a little hot-headed. Like I say, he's not available for the Browns game coming Monday, but I think the Ravens going to need him later on in the playoff push, I would assume. And I think he's going to, be a valuable asset to the team, and this is going to be a motivation for him. Now, as far as him being in close contact with other players and they allow the Ravens to play the Cowboys that night, it's up to the NFL. It's a business. They're all about money. Unfortunately, it seems like the Ravens players keep testing positive, and I think it's just a matter of time for other teams going to really hit. I know Tennessee had their major hit as well, and I know the Steelers had suffered a couple players last week, but I really see this really exploding. Hopefully we'll get to finish 16 games in the NFL. If not, I'm sure they'll probably pick up later on and do like a modified season like the NFL and MLB end up doing. But thank you for your question. Question, like I said, was from DC. So a recap we like to do here on all these shows. It's about, for me, it's not just about sports, it's about the whole DMV area. And, I like to talk about some of the violences, whether it's Baltimore or Washington, D.C. or Virginia. We need to love each other, respect each other, and, every life is valuable. You might have disagreements with people. We gotta be adult about it and learn how to work through those situations, whether you're a teenager, young man, young woman, or you're an older person. We need to find other ways to resolve our issues. And especially with the pandemic going on, we need each other, and nobody's better than the next person. And like I said, I like to leave a note, be kind and love one another. I want you guys to wear your masks, be safe, and see you on next week's episode of Beltway 95 Sports. Thank you.